been a long time coming, but Bambi might get revenge after all. I don't know. We'll see. Let's see what IMDb plot says about this one. After a mother and son get in a car wreck, they soon become hunted by Bambi, a mutated, grief-stricken deer on a deadly rampage, seeking revenge for the death of his mother. All right. Didn't think I'd ever see the phrase hunted by Bambi, but okay, the time has come. So, yeah, this is obviously a new released film here. Another one of these public domain movies that I guess we knew we wanted but never got, and now we do, and or maybe we don't want after we've gotten them. I don't know. It depends. At this point, it's just crazy. Anyway, so yeah, we'll try to keep this kind of spoiler free. I don't know how much spoilers there to do here in the Bambi world. But anyway, yes, I guess if you're just a regular fan of Disney and you just watch Bambi one day and, oh, you feel bad for Bambi, but, then you probably moved on and whatever. But then there's probably others of us who, like you and me, whatever, who are horror fans or have that horror side to them. And you thought, you know what? Bambi deserves some revenge. Maybe one day, somebody will just, Bambi will just get somebody for doing dirty to his mom. So I guess that time has come. That time is finally here. And Bambi has the tools to do it now. And yeah, let's do it. So yeah, so again, here we are in public domain world, and I guess they had to release Bambi and here, and I think through probably some of the Popeyes and now and Poos and so forth, and I don't even know where we are. I've expressed here and there my feelings on some of these movies. But I guess in a way, like I just said, this one kind of makes a little sense. That Bambi gets some revenge, and I guess you could have done a very basic thing here where Bambi's just there in the forest and sees a bunch of hunters, hunting other fellow deers and other animals, and I guess Bambi could have gone on its way and just killed them all, and then maybe had the one great fight with the best hunter of them all, and we could have had a showdown. Or I would have thought maybe it would have been far-fetched if the actual person that killed his mom was still out there and he just happened to get him. It would have been good for Bambi, but whatever. I kind of thought we could have gone that route. But instead, it seems that Bambi is just like, whoever comes into my territory here, you're going to get it. And, Bambi is not just simply Bambi there who's just grown up and is a big, powerful deer. No, obviously, it's a pissed off Bambi, remembers what happens to its mother, but it's also... as it said kind of there in the beginning, it's mutated a little bit and so forth. So we have that kind of sprinkled in. So, we're just kind of adding to the plot here. And as opposed to, like I said, just some hunters or whatever, we got to have a mom and a son here, and almost a mirror thing here where the mom, wants to protect the son. But then there's some other people involved, and Bambi's just gonna kill anybody that comes across, and then they add some other layers on top of this story. Like I said, this is a new movie, twists and turns. I'll leave some of that out. I don't think there's anything huge. Obviously, you might see a few things coming. But they add all this, other stuff like that's coming at the end of the movie, which I'm not going to get too much into, because I'll leave that for you guys to see. But I guess they wanted to build a story and put things together, make it a little more dramatic, and maybe have a little small twist or two here. But at the end of the day, I don't know. I like why. I guess it kind of had to explain a little bit to why Bambi was the way Bambi was. and so forth. But whatever. I mean, Bambi could have just gone over to a stream and it been polluted and drank some stuff and gone nuts. Then I mean, I don't know. I guess you could have made it more simple. I don't know. So I guess that's my complaint about I guess where the story ended up going. I don't know that I needed any of that. Obviously, they set up for a person or two for you not to like, so you're just like rooting for Bambi to do away with these people. So when he does, or if he does, or whatever, you're like, all right, good for you, Bambi. They also have and I've kind of skipped right to the beginning here, but then there's like one or two dramatic moments in there. Again, I could have just done without, just like, whatever. But you had to do that, so okay, whatever. And again, I guess I guess when you think about it, you do kind of want to do that contrast of, okay, Bambi comes from that, and then you have a mother here that's protecting her son, and so forth. And so I guess it is a kind of back and forth, a nice imaging there. And so I'm not going to totally hate on doing that. Maybe they could have been maybe just accompanying some hunters there, and got involved with it. I mean, not that I'm complaining about the car crash and whatever, blah blah, but there's other thing going on here which I'm not mentioning, and I don't know, and it just seemed very coincidental, and then it kind of led to some of the events that happened at the end of the movie, and like I said, I don't know, I don't know, like I just, I guess you could see that route, and then I guess the plot that I gave would have been just, I guess, way oversimplified. But again, with these movies, like I said, I think I've said in some of the other reviews, is, to me, they've just boiled down to, at least from my standpoint, is not really the stories they put together. It's just the blood and guts, how much I liked the blood and guts, and that just kind of drove it for me. Others, tried too hard to put a story together that whatever, and some tried to like kind of connect the characters to what was going on, and some did better job than others. Some missed the point completely. In the Pooh universe, I'm still really confused what the hell's going on there, as compared to what it's tied to. I don't know. But I guess Bambi's just very simple. It's like Bambi, mom gets killed, Bambi lives and just has to figure out how to survive, and that's it. So I guess and then you have a character also who is just simply an animal. So I guess you're not really relating it to anything else, and not have fellow characters and so forth that's teaming up with and so forth. So I don't know. I don't know. I mean, besides for wanting to give Bambi its revenge, his revenge, her revenge, whatever, what else do we need? I guess you could have done Bambi the short and just been like, hey, Bambi's grown up now, and now it's wreaking havoc and so forth. I don't, I don't know. I don't know about all the other stuff in it, but I guess if you wanted, since you wanted to give the movie depth and so forth, and try to get the audience to at least care for somebody in this film, obviously, besides rooting for Bambi. I don't know, I'm rooting for Bambi. Like, go Bambi, kill everybody, I don't care. Is to create the mother, create the son, and kind of give that kind of same mom protecting son kind of thing there. So yeah, I get it, but I don't know, I guess everything else I just didn't care about. As far as the blood and gut, well, let me mention Bambi. I guess Bambi was big, Bambi was a badass. Did look a little odd in a couple of moments. I don't know exactly how the film was shot. I didn't do any extra reading or whatever. Looked pretty bad and intimidating in some moments. There were a couple of other times where I thought looked a little weird. Um, Obviously, maybe a little bit limited in what you could do, kill wise. I'm not sure it was totally consistent, but we'll go with it. There's kind of a slowed down dramatic moment where someone is running away from Bambi, but you see, Bambi kind of come the corner and, is right behind them. And then before you know it, ugh. And, I won't say specifics, what led you guys watch it. Um, and I guess it led to a nice, I guess, kill ending, but happened quick, and I guess you don't get to see everything there, so 50-50 on it. Obviously, Bambi's, got some nasty teeth going on there, and uses that, once or twice. But I guess it was okay. Like I said, I guess also, there was I guess some crushing moments. I'll kind of leave it at that. That was also okay. There's one one scene where I guess Bambi comes up to the door, someone closes it, and they actually have Bambi like attempting to open the door, but obviously very hard to do with hooves or whatever you want to call it there. And I was like, I was just kind of like, why they even show that? Like no, Bambi not opening this door. Like, please, just no. I'm not gonna have Bambi opening this door. Like, it's just not. Just don't do it. Like, why? Like, okay, maybe you're trying to show that he's a little bit smart there. He knows that doors are supposed to be opened in that way. But no, like let just ram the door. Like, just he's big, he's powerful, he's got these giant horns. Just ram the door, or kick the door, or whatever you want to do. Don't why they just try to open the door. I don't know. But yeah, I guess they made the most of what Bambi could do with the kills. So like I said, it was all right. I no, I don't know. Like I would have wanted to see at least one death of Bambi just kind of in impaling somebody, and just kind of like lifting them up in the air, like just kind of like, and just have them over his horns there, and just kind of have an epic shot of like Bambi, with the horns up in the air and the body just there and dripping the blood, and and it could have been an important character, or it could have just been anybody, or set the tone. I guess if they would have done that early in the movie, then I'd have just been like, okay, well, this is the best kill, and then everything else. But so I guess they would have had to save that for maybe later on. But that's a kill that I was kind of envisioning as the film was kind of going on. I was like, let's, and maybe from obviously a special effects standpoint and how they were doing it, maybe that would have been hard to do or impossible to do. I don't know. But that's kind of what I eventually wanted to see and never saw, and that kind of irks me. So yeah, just and then like picking them up in the air, and then Bambi could get that look of I'm getting revenge and whatever, and then just they get a cut scene, or he could have just threw them away and whatever. I don't know. But yeah, and then have a little bit of blood dripping there. I would have been, if they would have done that, make it look decently. I think I would have probably just come on here and just been like, hey, there was this really cool death, I enjoyed it, go see the movie for the death, and just called it a day. But yeah, so I guess that, and then I don't know. So yeah, Bambi I guess was okay. The deaths were okay. I guess when it kind of ended, I wasn't like, oh damn, what did I just watch? I guess I didn't feel in that way. But again, was this movie totally necessary? I don't know. I also don't know, maybe we've had other movies with killer deer, and I mean, I can't think of any at the top of my head. Doesn't mean it hasn't been done. If not, maybe it should have been done, or maybe we should have, maybe had zombie deers or something like that. Somehow that kind of rings a bell. But I don't know. I guess, like I said, I would have been pleased, I guess, just very simply with Bambi just killing a bunch of hunters, but, we had to go the route that they went, which, I guess, I don't know, just didn't do anything for me. But, again, I guess there wasn't, Bambi's not, like a huge character in some of the ways that some of the other ones that they've done so far. So I guess, it was kind of free range. They could do, whatever. As long as they covered the Bambi's pissed because his mom got killed part, they were pretty fair game to do, whatever. Unlike some of the Popeye movies where I thought, they were like, what the hell does this have to do with Popeye? Or even Pooh. But yeah, and I guess there is one other little surprise in the movie, which I thought was pretty cool, which I'm wondering if that opened the door for what's next. I don't know. I won't give it away, let you guys kind of see that. But, it was a little surprise, several of them. And, I could see, that being a standalone movie as well. But the way that is, I don't know, even if you did a standalone movie, how different that would have been from other movies where we've seen little creatures like that just kind of go nuts and kill a bunch of people. But again, if they would have they do the blood and guts the right way, in a fun way, and so forth, yeah, I'll watch it. Yeah, so I guess that's it for Bambi. I think I'm going to go just 2 pools of blood for this one. Bambi was decent, some decent kills. Could have done with a little bit more blood, and like I said, the one that I wanted, I liked and whatever. And didn't get, obviously. But and whatever with the story. I mean, I guess it's fine. I mean, they didn't really screw it up, but I don't know, just didn't do anything special for me either. So yeah, I'm gonna go 2 pools of blood out of 5 with this one. And yeah, with that, I guess we'll wrap this up. horrorsquarereviews.blogspot.com is where you can find all of my reviews written in video. Certainly tons of video reviews for a while now, so you can like, subscribe, and do everything else that everybody wants to do here on YouTube. If not, no worries, it's okay. I thank you for your time regardless. Twitter, Facebook information down below. Reach out to me there. Talk about Bambi, the original, this one, whatever. Horror, something you want me to review. And definitely in the comment section, once you guys kind of catch this film, your thoughts, your thoughts on this one. Is there another public domain movie you want to see? Or one that may not be public domain yet, but you want to see. Or even if you're happy that Bambi finally got some revenge, feel free to let me know as well. So with that, I'll catch you in the next review, horror fans.